Hit the road and rediscover America's forgotten roadside wonders. From giant dinosaurs to quirky theme parks, these incredible attractions once captivated travelers until they vanished. Join us on a nostalgic road trip. The Enchanted Forest was a fairy tale-themed amusement park that captured the imaginations of children and families when it opened in 1955. Located in Ellicott City, Maryland, the park featured storybook characters, whimsical castles, a Cinderella pumpkin coach, and a Rapunzel tower. Visitors could explore scenes straight out of classic fairy tales, walking through attractions inspired by Humpty Dumpty, Jack and the Beanstalk, and Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Despite its initial success, the park struggled with declining attendance in the 1980s as newer theme parks gained popularity. It closed in 1989, and much of it was left to deteriorate. However, some of its beloved sculptures and structures were saved and relocated to a nearby farm, where they have been restored for public enjoyment. While the Enchanted Forest may no longer exist in its original form, its nostalgic charm and whimsical legacy live on in the hearts of those who visited. But not all theme parks were filled with fairy tales. Next, we head to the Ozarks, where a hillbilly-themed amusement park once brought comic strip characters to life. Dogpatch USA was a hillbilly-themed amusement park that brought the world of Al Cap's Lil Abner comic strip to life. Nestled in the Ozarks, it opened in 1968, featuring rustic log cabins, trout ponds, and animated characters from the comic. The park attracted families with its homespun charm, offering attractions like a funicular railway, horseback rides, and comedic hillbilly performances. Despite initial success, Dogpatch USA faced financial difficulties in the 1980s. Changing public interests, mismanagement, and increasing competition from larger theme parks led to declining attendance. Ownership changes and attempts to revitalize the park failed, and it ultimately closed in 1993. Over the years, its abandoned structures became a haunting reminder of its past, drawing urban explorers and nostalgic visitors. Did you ever visit this quirky hillbilly wonderland, or do you remember hearing stories about it? In recent years, portions of the park have been redeveloped, but the whimsical world of Lil Abner no longer echoes through the Ozarks as it once did. The Mystery Hole was a quirky roadside attraction that left visitors scratching their heads with its bizarre optical illusions and gravity-defying stunts. Located in Fayetteville, West Virginia, this small yet captivating site featured slanted rooms, disorienting perspectives, and tricks that made objects appear to roll uphill. The interior was decorated with bright colors, strange murals, and humorous signs that added to its eccentric charm. Opened in the 1970s, the Mystery Hole thrived on word of mouth, luring travelers with the promise of mind-bending experiences. Tour guides led guests through rooms where the laws of physics seemed to break, making it a favorite stop for curious road trippers. However, changing tourism trends and maintenance challenges led to its decline, and it eventually shut down in the early 2000s. Though no longer in operation, its legend still lingers in roadside attraction folklore, with former visitors recalling the strange sensation of walking through its gravity-challenging halls. The original Wigwam Village in Cave City, Kentucky, was part of a once-thriving chain of teepee-shaped motels that sprang up along America's highways in the 1930s and 1940s. Built in 1937 by Frank Redford, it was designed to capitalize on the growing popularity of roadside attractions and the rise of automobile tourism. The village featured individual concrete teepees, complete with beds, restrooms, and vintage decor, offering travelers a unique and kitschy lodging experience. At its peak, multiple wigwam villages dotted the country, becoming iconic stops along famous highways like Route 66. However, as modern hotels and motels became more convenient and standardized, the novelty of the wigwam villages faded. The original Kentucky location eventually closed, though a few locations still exist as nostalgic roadside relics. Today, these motels serve as reminders of a bygone era of road trips, quirky attractions, and the golden age of American car travel. Have you ever stayed in a wigwam village, or do you remember seeing one on a road trip? Freedomland USA was an ambitious, history-themed amusement park that aimed to rival Disneyland when it opened in 1960 in the Bronx, New York. Designed to resemble the shape of the United States, the park was divided into themed areas representing different regions of American history. Visitors could experience attractions like a Wild West shootout, a recreation of the Great Chicago Fire, and boat rides through the Louisiana Bayou. Despite its grand vision, Freedomland faced financial difficulties from the start. Construction costs were high, and the park struggled with location challenges, including a swampy landscape that made expansion difficult. Additionally, the rise of nearby theme parks and a lack of returning visitors led to declining attendance. By 1964, Freedomland was forced to close, and the land was eventually redeveloped into Co-op City. Though it lasted only 5 years, Freedomland USA remains a fascinating footnote in amusement park history, remembered by those lucky enough to visit during its brief existence. But that's not all. Stay tuned because you won't want to miss the rest. Spook Hill, located in Lake Wales, Florida, is one of the most famous gravity hills in the United States, where cars appear to defy physics by rolling uphill. This natural optical illusion has fascinated visitors for decades, drawing curious travelers eager to witness the mysterious phenomenon. According to local legend, the hill is haunted by a Native American chief who once fought a great battle against a giant alligator, and his spirit is said to influence the strange gravitational forces at play. While Spook Hill became a well-known roadside attraction, it gradually lost its appeal over the years. Road repaving altered the effect, making the illusion less pronounced. And as modern entertainment options grew, fewer travelers made the detour to experience it. Although the site still exists today with its iconic roadside sign, it no longer holds the same mystique and popularity it once did, fading into the background of America's forgotten roadside wonders. Miracle Strip Amusement Park was a beloved beachfront destination in Panama City Beach, Florida, that entertained families for over 40 years. Opened in 1963, the park featured a variety of classic amusement rides, including its most famous attraction, the Starliner roller coaster, Florida's first wooden coaster. Other popular rides included the Abominable Snowman, Dante's Inferno, and a spinning teacup ride that delighted children and adults alike. The park became an iconic part of Florida's Gulf Coast, offering a nostalgic, carnival-like atmosphere that drew visitors from across the country. However, changing tourism trends and the rise of larger, more modern attractions in the region led to a decline in attendance. In 2004, the park was closed and dismantled, making way for redevelopment. Although a scaled-down version of the park was attempted in 2010, it failed to recapture the magic of the original. Today, Miracle Strip Amusement Park lives on in the memories of those who enjoyed its simple yet timeless fun. Did you ever visit this classic beachside park? Or do you have fond memories of similar amusement parks? Dinosaur World in Beaver, Arkansas was once a thrilling roadside attraction that transported visitors back to the prehistoric age. Opened in the 1960s, it featured dozens of towering fiberglass dinosaurs spread across a wooded landscape, offering families an immersive and educational experience. The park was known for its massive replicas, including a fierce T-Rex and a towering Brontosaurus, making it a must-see stop for travelers fascinated by dinosaurs. Despite its initial popularity, Dinosaur World struggled to keep up with modern attractions and faced declining attendance in the 1990s. Poor maintenance and financial difficulties led to the park's eventual closure, and over time, the once grand dinosaurs were left to decay, with some even being vandalized. Though remnants of the park lingered for years, nature slowly reclaimed the land, leaving behind eerie relics of its prehistoric past. Today, only photographs and memories remain of this once beloved dino wonderland. But roadside attractions weren't just about prehistoric giants. Next, we visit a legendary California stop that once defined road trip culture. The Nut Tree, located along Interstate 80 in Vacaville, California, was more than just a roadside stop. It was an iconic destination that delighted travelers for decades. Established in 1921 as a small fruit stand, it grew into a bustling complex featuring a restaurant, gift shop, bakery, amusement rides, and even an airport. Families traveling between San Francisco and Sacramento often made it a must-visit stop, enjoying its famous fruit dishes, whimsical wooden horses, and scenic picnic areas. At its peak, the nut tree became synonymous with California road trip culture, attracting celebrities, politicians, and everyday travelers alike. However, changing travel habits, increased competition, and economic struggles led to its closure in 1996. Although later attempts were made to revive the brand, the original charm and appeal never fully returned. Today, a shopping center stands where the nut tree once thrived, but for those who remember, its legacy as a pioneering roadside attraction remains deeply cherished. The House of the Future, introduced in Disneyland in 1957, was an ambitious vision of what domestic life could look like in the 21st century. Sponsored by Monsanto, the attraction was a sleek, all-plastic home filled with cutting-edge technology, including voice-activated appliances, microwave ovens, ultrasonic dishwashers, and futuristic furniture designed for maximum efficiency. The house featured a clean, space-age aesthetic, emphasizing convenience and automation, concepts that were groundbreaking at the time. Despite its popularity, the House of the Future was demolished in 1967 as Disney shifted its focus to other futuristic projects, such as Tomorrowland expansions. While many of its ideas, like microwaves and smart home technology, eventually became mainstream, the attraction itself remains a nostalgic memory of mid-century optimism. Today, only a few remnants of its foundation remain in Disneyland, serving as a reminder of a time when plastic homes and automated living seemed like the inevitable future. Would you have wanted to live in the House of the Future, or do you think its vision was too ambitious? The desert of Maine is one of New England's most unexpected natural wonders, a 40-acre stretch of glacial sand dunes surrounded by lush forests. Located in Freeport, Maine, this unusual landscape was formed after poor farming practices in the 19th century stripped the land of its topsoil, exposing a vast, sandy expanse. The site became a tourist attraction in the 1920s, drawing visitors curious about its surreal, almost otherworldly appearance. At its peak, the Desert of Maine featured guided tours, a museum, and quirky roadside exhibits, including camel statues and buried buildings meant to illustrate the encroaching sand. While the attraction still exists today, it has lost much of its former prominence as a must-see stop. With modern travelers seeking more dynamic entertainment, the Desert of Maine has faded into relative obscurity. However, it remains a fascinating, offbeat destination for those interested in unusual landscapes and the quirks of American roadside history. But not all roadside attractions were about mysterious landscapes. Next, we take a trip to a magical Christmas-themed park that kept the holiday spirit alive year-round. Santa's Village in East Dundee, Illinois, was a beloved Christmas-themed amusement park that brought holiday magic to families year-round. Opened in 1959, it featured festive rides, Santa's workshop, reindeer, and cheerful holiday decorations, creating an enchanting experience for children and adults alike. Attractions included the Snowball Ride, the North Pole Express, and the thrilling Blizzard roller coaster, all designed to immerse visitors in a winter wonderland, no matter the season. For decades, Santa's Village was a cherished part of Illinois' amusement park history. However, economic downturns, increasing competition, and a lack of modernization led to declining attendance. By 2006, the park was forced to close, leaving behind nostalgic memories for those who once enjoyed its festive charm. Though portions of the park were eventually repurposed into Santa's Village Amusement Park, the original experience of Santa's Village remains a warm holiday memory for those who grew up visiting this whimsical destination. The Land of Oz, a Wizard of Oz-themed amusement park, opened in Beech Mountain, North Carolina in 1970, designed to immerse visitors in the world of Dorothy and her journey down the yellow brick road. Featuring recreations of Munchkinland, the Emerald City, and the Wicked Witch's Castle, it was a dreamlike escape for fans of the beloved film and book series. Despite initial excitement, the park faced operational and financial struggles, and after just a decade, it fell into disrepair. The once vibrant paths became overgrown, and many of the park's structures were left abandoned. Vandals looted parts of the attraction, adding to its eerie, forgotten aura. However, in recent years, efforts have been made to restore sections of the park, and it now opens for special events, allowing nostalgic visitors to relive a piece of its magic. While it is no longer the grand destination it once was, the Land of Oz remains a fascinating relic of American roadside amusement history. Storybook Land in Colorado was a charming fairy tale-themed amusement park that delighted children and families with its oversized nursery rhyme characters and whimsical settings. Opened in the 1950s, the park featured elaborate recreations of classic stories like Jack and the Beanstalk, Humpty Dumpty, and the Three Little Pigs. Visitors could walk through interactive storybook scenes, ride a small train through the park, and enjoy themed playground areas designed to bring fairy tales to life. For decades, Storybook Land was a magical stop for road-tripping families, offering a nostalgic, low-tech experience filled with childhood wonder. However, as larger amusement parks with modern attractions gained popularity, Storybook Land struggled to maintain attendance. By the late 1980s, the park had deteriorated, and financial difficulties forced its closure. Many of its whimsical structures were left abandoned, and today only traces of its former magic remain. Though it is gone, the memories of its enchanting world live on for those who once explored its storybook charm. Did you ever visit Storybook Land? Or do you remember a similar fairy tale park from your childhood? The Haunted Shack was one of Knott's Berry Farm's most iconic and mind-bending attractions, delighting guests with its eerie illusions and gravity-defying tricks. Opened in 1954, the attraction played with visitors' perceptions by featuring tilted rooms, mysteriously floating objects, and water that seemed to flow uphill. Tour guides would lead guests through the disorienting experience, cracking jokes and demonstrating the shack's bizarre physics in action. For decades, the Haunted Shack remained a beloved stop within the park, its optical illusions leaving both children and adults amazed. However, by the late 1990s, theme park trends were shifting toward larger, thrill-based attractions, and the Haunted Shack's classic charm no longer fit Knott's evolving vision. In 2000, the park dismantled the attraction to make room for new developments. While its physical structure may be gone, the Haunted Shack remains a fond memory for longtime Knott's Berry Farm fans who experienced its quirky and unforgettable illusions firsthand. We only have a few left, so stay tuned. These next ones are not to be missed. Jungle Habitat was a bold experiment by Warner Brothers in the 1970s, offering visitors a drive-through safari experience in West Milford, New Jersey. Opened in 1972, the 800-acre park featured exotic animals, including lions, tigers, elephants, and baboons, roaming freely in large enclosures. Guests could drive their own cars through the park, experiencing wildlife up close, sometimes a little too close. Tales of animals damaging vehicles and interacting with visitors became common. Despite initial popularity, Jungle Habitat faced challenges, including safety concerns, financial struggles, and local opposition to expansion plans. By 1976, attendance had dropped, and Warner Bros. Decided to close the park. The animals were relocated, but much of the park's infrastructure was left behind, allowing nature to reclaim the land. Today, the overgrown remnants of Jungle Habitat attract urban explorers and hikers, serving as a haunting reminder of one of America's most unusual and short-lived wildlife attractions. The UFO Welcome Center in Bowman, South Carolina, is one of the most bizarre roadside attractions ever built. Created in 1994 by Jody Pendarvis, a local resident fascinated by extraterrestrials, the center was designed as a landing spot for alien visitors. The structure consisted of a 42-foot-wide flying saucer made of scrap metal, wood, and insulation, with an upper-level control room filled with eclectic decorations, sci-fi memorabilia, and living quarters for potential alien guests. For years, curious travelers stopped by to tour the makeshift spaceship and hear Pendarvis's theories on extraterrestrial life. However, as time passed, the attraction fell into disrepair, with structural issues and weather damage making it less inviting. Though still standing today, it has become more of an urban legend than a functioning tourist spot. While it may not have welcomed actual aliens, the UFO Welcome Center remains a quirky monument to one man's intergalactic dreams and the eccentric charm of American roadside culture. The Big Dipper was one of the oldest wooden roller coasters in the United States, a classic thrill ride that stood as a centerpiece of Gauga Lake Amusement Park in Ohio. Built in 1925, this wooden coaster featured steep drops, tight turns, and a rickety charm that delighted generations of visitors. Its nostalgic design and thrilling ride experience made it a fan favorite, embodying the golden era of amusement parks. For decades, the Big Dipper was a defining attraction at Gauga Lake, witnessing the park's various transformations and ownership changes. However, as competition from larger, more modern amusement parks increased, Geauga Lake struggled to stay afloat. In 2007, the park closed its doors for good, leaving the Big Dipper abandoned. While there were efforts to save and relocate the coaster, they ultimately fell through, and in 2016, the once iconic ride was demolished. Though it no longer stands, the Big Dipper remains a cherished memory for roller coaster enthusiasts and Geauga Lake visitors alike. Did you ever ride the Big Dipper, or do you have a favorite wooden roller coaster from the past? The Buckaroo Motel was a classic Route 66 stop that embodied the spirit of the American West. Located in Arizona, this roadside motel featured a rustic, cowboy-themed aesthetic with wooden facades, neon signage, and wagon wheel decor that made it a nostalgic stop for travelers exploring the legendary highway. Opened in the mid-20th century, it became a favorite among road-tripping families, bikers, and weary drivers looking for an affordable and unique place to rest. For decades, the Buckaroo Motel thrived, offering a glimpse into the golden age of roadside Americana. However, as newer, more modern accommodations emerged along major interstates, the motel struggled to compete. Declining tourism and neglect eventually led to its closure, and over time, the once charming stop fell into disrepair. While remnants of the motel still stand, weathered by time and abandonment, the Buckaroo Motel remains a forgotten relic of Route 66's heyday, remembered by those who once spent a night under its neon glow. But the road trip doesn't end here. Next, we dive into a once thriving water park that became a forgotten relic of summer fun. Water Wonderland was once a beloved water park in Midland, Texas, offering families a fun escape from the scorching summer heat. Opened in 1980, it featured massive water slides, wave pools, and lazy rivers, making it a popular regional destination. The park provided thrilling rides like the towering speed slides and twisting tube slides, while younger visitors enjoyed the kid-friendly splash areas. For nearly 2 decades, Water Wonderland remained a staple of summer entertainment, drawing visitors from across West Texas. However, financial difficulties and increasing maintenance costs led to its decline in the late 1990s. By 1999, the park had closed its doors for good, and it was left abandoned, slowly overtaken by nature. The once vibrant pools became stagnant, and graffiti-covered structures stood as eerie remnants of its past. Though efforts were made to revive the park, they never materialized, and today, Water Wonderland remains a forgotten relic of Texas's roadside attractions. The Thing was one of America's strangest roadside attractions, luring travelers along Interstate 10 in Arizona with billboards asking, "What is the Thing?" This curiosity-inducing mystery led countless road trippers to pull over and pay a small admission fee to uncover the bizarre collection of oddities inside. Housed in a dusty, unassuming roadside stop, The Thing featured strange exhibits, including mummified remains, antique cars, and other peculiar artifacts. For decades, The Thing thrived on its mystery, with its cryptic advertising drawing visitors eager to solve the riddle. However, as time passed, the attraction's old-school, eerie charm began to fade. A new, modernized version of The Thing was introduced, incorporating a polished, alien-themed storyline. But many longtime fans believe the original's unsettling, offbeat charm has been lost. Though it still exists today in a different form, the original version of The Thing remains a nostalgic memory for those who once stopped to unravel its strange and quirky mystery. The world's largest six-pack, located in La Crosse, Wisconsin, was a beloved roadside attraction that turned brewery storage tanks into a giant, eye-catching beer display. Originally part of the G. Heilemann Brewing Company, the massive tanks were cleverly painted to resemble an enormous six-pack of old-style beer, symbolizing the city's deep brewing heritage. The whimsical sight became an iconic stop for beer lovers and travelers exploring the region. However, after the brewery changed ownership, the tanks were repainted and rebranded, removing their signature old-style design. While the structure still stands, the quirky appeal and novelty of the original six-pack have faded, leaving behind only memories of its former glory. Despite its transformation, the world's largest six-pack remains a nostalgic reminder of the golden era of roadside oddities and Wisconsin's beer culture, cherished by those who remember its original, larger-than-life presence. Hope you enjoyed this journey through America's lost roadside attractions. Have you ever visited one of these vanished wonders? Share your memories in the comments and subscribe for more nostalgic road trip adventures.